a staff
Oh,
report.
here, no, here.
Can I use yours? Okay. I don't think they're going to ask, but if they do.
2014, we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Land of your heart.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
A quorum is present.
Call the order of the House Authority to Secretary of City of Finance.
A quorum is present.
Any persons wishing to address the City Council on any item of today's agenda may do so at this time.
Good afternoon, it's Gil Matthew, District 4, Mayor and City Council. Speak on item number 1, Successor Agency, Housing and Finance. Here again, I will say this, that the city is moving in the right direction. And that's something we all should be proud of. So it's not negative comments. So understand it carefully what I'm saying and listen that it's not any attack on any of you. However, the concern is the financial condition of this city, not only now, but in the future. And here again, I must tell you that we have moved in the right direction with outstanding debt of the successor agency from $1.2 billion. Now we about north of 900 million. And here again, I'm proud of Mayor Butts because finally he's understanding that we agree. Well, no, you laughing, but I'm serious, okay? Because you must review the comments that you've been making over the last 2 months, and you won't laugh at those comments because they're not funny. But review them because I'm hearing from different people, they can't believe what you're saying.
No, I was surprised you were
No, don't take my time. We are gonna agree on that. Don't take my time, please. Yeah, because you know, you're very abrupt with me when it comes to 3 minutes. So just be polite, and I will also be polite. Now, here again, we've all agreed that it's 2 sets of money. However, you make no mistake about it. The state of California is not responsible for your debts that you incurred as a success agency. And I don't know what it's going to take. You've already submitted what they call a HAT fund. That's a housing asset transfer. That has not been approved by the state of California. And you need a plan B. And either you're going to have it and have meetings with the success agency and explain to the residents, or else it's going to come bite you know where. And I'm serious about it, and you can laugh. You can do anything you want. But if you review those tapes, it is not laughable. And there's people in finance who are horrified by the comments you made.
Good afternoon, council, staff, and fellow residents of Inglewood here. My name is Leroy Fisher from the 1st District. You know, I was reviewing these SP 2, 3, and 4, and 5, and I would say to you all, I see that there is no increase, but I would hope that you would look closer at this and decrease these things. You know, this street lighting assessment's been going on ever since I've been in the city for more than 50 years, but we don't get what we are paying for with regard to that. And so, you know, I would look forward to whenever these assessments do come forward, maybe some of you would look closer at these things and propose, in fact, a decrease rather than no increase. I hadn't been here for a while because of some personal problems, but I had came here thinking that one special item was coming, and I understand it's not here now. But then I see this 01 with this human resources, and I'm not sure what it is, but it says staff report recommending adoption of salary ordinance amendment for the fiscal years 13 and 14. I don't and haven't read the ordinance with regard to the salaries, and I would hope only that we're not increasing those salaries to impact the budget and the taxes of this city. Those are my comments on that.
Mr. Mayor, council, staff, Michael Benville, District 1. I too would like a brief overview of 01, just so the public can get an idea of what's being said here. There's nothing really printed there so that we can understand it from just looking at it on the agenda. So I just appreciate you just disclose here.
Good afternoon, Mayor, City Council, and staff. My comments are on consent calendar 3 and number 3. And it says authorize the mayor to sign all subsequent documents, including but not limited to agreements, amendments, payment requests, and so forth, without the need of these subsequent documents coming before the city council. And as far as that goes, I think everything should be discussed and not left up to just one person to make a decision on. Also on consent calendar 3, consent calendar number 5 and 4, and number 6 and 4, and number 7 and 1. I'm wondering with the adopt a resolution amending FY 2013-14 budget for RO 14 to include special expenses in the amount of $54,540. And number 6, residential sound installation, adopt a resolution amending FY 2013-14 budget for RO 22 to include special expenses. I'd like to know what these special expenses are and have them spelled out so that me as a citizen and a resident can understand what these special expenses are. And Section 8 Housing and Community Development Block Grant. And it says staff report recommending approval of an agreement with Housing Rights Center to provide fair housing counseling and housing discrimination services grant funds. And we're to approve that in the amount of $57,300, and I'd like to have that explained as well. And then on the SPH 2 through 5, I'd like to have those explained as well. Thank you.
My name is Willie A.G., a fellow who lives in the beautiful city of Inglewood. I'm standing here this afternoon in support of consent calendar item number 3. This item came before the commissions, and we approved it by zip. I like everything in it, and I ask you to approve this item and let's get things done in our parks. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, Ethel Austin, District 2. I want to mention something about the sound installation. All of this, I think that the council and the mayor, you should be abreast to. It's the new windows that you all are installing inside of the houses. What the contractors are not doing, or not specifying, is informing you guys that the windows come with a lock. You cannot purchase these locks. You know what I'm, like, you want to set your windows and you leave to go on vacation, you want to leave your windows about so yay high, and you don't want nobody to running in your window, breaking in, right? So you, in the old days, you used to use a stick to keep them from, well, that's what I'm trying to say. Those locks are $20 extra per window. I went to Lowe's, and this is how I found out that the contractors are burning city and people with these windows. They're not ordering those stoppers, and you can't purchase them any other way. It must come with that window, which I think is very important for security reasons. A lot of people can't afford to buy alarms or pay for an alarm or bars. Bars to me is obsolete, you know, and it makes your house, it takes away from your property. So instead, Mayor, I think this is something that I wanted to bring it to you guys' attention, because it's something that's very important. Because I don't have them on the windows, and it's very important. So I had to go get some sticks, like we did in the old days, and had them cut at Lowe's to put inside of the windows so they won't come up. But it's still safe, you know, but just so you'll know. Also, I wanted to mention the 3. I want to ask you something, Mayor, about this. When they give you the authority to approve things, when they say they give you this power in front of everybody here, is it already approved, or do you discuss this before they give you this power, or what?
This is really, I sign on behalf of the city. By the time it gets audits have taken place, basically I'm the signature of the CEO of the city. And the council, on the council's behalf, I sign documents. So all we're doing is streamlining. We insulated 1,020 homes in 12. This is not something we want to get in the way of bringing it back. Testing from time to time. Sometimes we do tests to make sure we actually meet the decibel noise. The insulation. That's part of the requirements, done with follow-up funds. And finally, on the 57,000.
Yeah.
Development, we're required to provide those services as also paid for by grant.
Oh, okay. All right, so that makes a lot of sense. You want progress to keep moving. But it's already been audited and everything's been done. You got to sign all documents anyway. Okay, thank you. Thanks for listening.
My name is Diane Brown, and apparently someone here, either who printed this or you misunderstood that, because that signing the document phrase has to do with the Park and Recreation and Library Services grant, not the ones having to do with sound insulation. Details. Isn't it a pain when some people know how to read? The other thing is that it's so amusing that there are those who are willing to abdicate their authority. You ran for offices and you said, in exchange for X number of dollars, I'll accept the responsibility for X, Y, and Z. And then you said, well, but I'd rather have someone else do it. So actually, I think everything should be coming before this council, because it is this entire council, not one individual, who should be responsible to the public that they ran in front of and said, for 60 grand a year, I'll accept responsibility. Keeping in mind, in other communities, nobody accepts that kind of money, and it goes back into the general fund so we don't have to get all the grants. And of course, the thing about the whole Section 8 housing and the CBDG money, I thought it was really interesting that with this Regent project, in one of the documents from a couple weeks ago, we carried over 2 bodies out of the successor agency specifically for the housing in that one complex. At least that's what was in print. And now, as we go to this salary ordinance, which is 365 pages, and I'll admit I did not read all 365. I've seen most of them before, but some of the numbers I found amusing. How is it we have some people who are required to have college educations who are being paid significantly less than those who do not? Apparently, we're telling some job specs that though the rest of the world values you so much more highly, we in Inglewood don't. How is that possible? We have a lot of anybody can do it jobs that are being paid very well. And I would encourage everyone, no, not just the 5 of you, but everyone, to carefully look at all of these numbers, because they do impact us significantly. Thank you for the first time for the actuarial table. I've been asking for one of those for, 20 some odd years? Now we have one. And maybe if we had done that way back when I was the naysayer who recommended it, we wouldn't be in the situation that we are today. But it's so much easier for some members here to call names and cast stones and then say, but nobody should do that to me. So keep in mind, if we are offering you an opportunity to save face, don't badmouth us.
Move allow payment.
Second.
Council and agency members Dodson,
Aye.
Padilla.
Aye.
Morales.
Aye.
Franklin. Mayor Chairman Buds. Approval of the minutes for council successor agency, Housing Authority, and Finance Authority for June 3rd.
Second.
Council and agency members Dodson,
Aye.
Padilla.
Aye.
Morales.
Aye.
Franklin.
Aye.
Mayor Chairman Buds.
So moved.
Second.
Council council members Dodson,
Aye.
Padilla.
Aye.
Morales.
Aye.
Franklin.
Aye.
Mayor Buds. Staff report requesting that a public hearing be set to consider adoption of the... Sure. Okay, staff report requesting that a public hearing be set to consider the adoption of the zoning code amendment 2013-04 to modify regulations for live-work units. Okay. Staff report requesting that a public hearing be set for the annual levy and collections of the Inglewood Maintenance Assessment District Number 1975-1. Staff report requesting that a public hearing be set for the annual levy and collections of the Morningside Park Maintenance Assessment District 1974-2. Staff report requesting that a public hearing be set for the annual levy and collections of the Darby-Dixon Maintenance Assessment District 1987-1, and staff report requesting that a public hearing be set for the annual levy and collection of the Inglewood Street Lighting Assessment District number 1980-1.
Move 1, 2, and 3 for SPH
Second.
2, SPH 3, SPH 4, and SPH 5.
Second.
Madam Clerk.
Council members Dodson,
Aye.
Padilla,
Aye.
Morales,
Aye.
Franklin,
Aye.
Mayor Buds.
Aye. Let's see where we are. 01? No, actually, let's do DR1
DR1,
first.
okay. Staff report recommending adoption of the 5 resolutions affecting modifications to the terms and conditions of employment for employees presented by Inglewood Executive Organization, Inglewood Police Management Association, Inglewood Police Officers Association, Inglewood Police Civilian Management Association, and Inglewood Management Employee Organization.
Mr. Falco?
Yes, thank you, Mayor.
The item before you, DR1, is a culmination of over 100 sessions, negotiation sessions with all of our 6 bargaining units. The city has reached agreement with 5 of those 6 units. As the clerk specified, the IEO, IPMA, IPOA, and IPCMA and IMEO, all 5 of those groups have ratified agreements with the city, and those agreements are presented this afternoon for adoption. In summary, the MOUs are a mechanism by which the collective bargaining process allows the city to negotiate with groups of employees that have basically come together as a collective bargaining unit. And the terms and conditions of their memorandum of understanding provides for their wages, hours, terms and conditions of employment. Those terms and conditions of employment can actually be something as simple as a salary increase, it could be something as simple as medical benefits, or it could be something as complex as the accrual of sick leave and vacation, perhaps an unlimited accrual, or even something more costly that could cost the city tremendous amounts of money over time, and that would be something referred to as retiree medical. Up until today, the bargaining units had agreed to many, many years ago, far before any of our time here, the benefit of a medical payment, in essence, medical premiums for the employee and their spouse for the remainder of their life once they retire. That is called an OPEB, or Other Post-Employment Benefit Liability. In many jurisdictions, including Inglewood, are and have been in this predicament where the rising cost of health care, coupled with the increased longevity of the retirees, that is, they live considerably longer, has burdened municipal jurisdictions with a massive liability. The city of Inglewood currently has nearly 1,000 people, would be comprised of their prior employees and their still living spouses, in the system as retirees receiving full medical payments for whatever medical plan they were enrolled in when they retired. No matter how long ago they retired, no matter if they've reached the age of 65 and would be eligible for Medicare, the city is still on the hook for paying that. That cost, as reflected in this year's fiscal 13-14 budget, amounted to over $5.1 million of the city's general fund. That $5.1 million was of the $7.1 million deficit. So you can see 5/7 of the deficit was solely attributable to this particular OPEB liability. If no further employees were to get that would be any current employees here today and retire tomorrow or thereafter were to receive this benefit, the city would still be on the hook for approximately $117 million over the next 30 years, according to the actuarial analysis. And that assumed a small 5% increase in healthcare costs. And we know that healthcare costs last year increased by over 9.4%. With that said, with all the existing employees, no new hires, that cost would increase and mushroom to well over $317 million, or approximately $200 million more. That would bankrupt the city of Inglewood, and it would take us to the point of insolvency within a handful of years. The bargaining units under the direction of the council went to, the labor negotiators on behalf of the city went to all of the bargaining units, all 6 of them, and began discussing what it would take to try and eliminate that massive benefit and exchange it for something else of value, which is what is required by collective bargaining. At the same time, we have to address an issue that the California Public Employee Retirement System, CalPERS, passed legislation at the beginning of 2013 called PEPRA, or the Public Employee Pension Reform Act of 2013, which said that collective bargaining agreements had to be either approved or adopted that included a payment on behalf of all public sector employees, both sworn and miscellaneous, to equate to 50% of the normal cost of the retirement benefit. The definition of normal cost is still being defined at this time, but nonetheless, we know that by the end of 2017, all of our employee groups will have to come to an agreement with the city on paying some of those costs. Currently, all employees receive 100% of their retirement contributions, both the employee and the employer contributions paid for by the city. That, too, is a very substantial cost to the city. So with that in mind, the negotiating team set forth with the primary objective to try and upright the ship, so to speak, and correct the retiree medical problem, at the same time address the issues associated with PEPRA, or the Public Employee Pension Reform Act. After nearly 100 sessions, we reached agreement with 3 of the 6 groups: the executive organization, the police management organization, and the police officers organization. The 2 management professional organizations, referred to as IMEO and IPCMA, went into impasse, and we began the state mediation process, during which time we came to an agreement with a rather unique proposal, which I'll discuss in a few moments. The final group, the Service Employee International Union 721, unfortunately rejected the tentative agreement that we had with their bargaining leadership, and as a result went to state mediation. They too failed to come to an agreement during state mediation and now have reached fact-finding, which will begin next week. It should be noted that in December of 2013, the last best and final agreement or proposal that the city made to SEIU that was rejected took us into the formal position of impasse. They made a significant request to the council, in this case to the mayor, to continue discussions, and as a result, we entered into concept discussions with SEIU and came up with a concept proposal that we believed they would ratify. Unfortunately, they did not. The leadership team, even though they TA'd or tentative agreement with us, they did not support the proposal at the time when the vote took place, and as a result, the SEIU membership rejected the MOU. We will keep the council updated as to the fact-finding process and the potential need for the city to consider a unilateral implementation or impose a contract. So with those goals that I stated, the first being address the retiree medical situation, that massive unfunded liability that I spoke of, address the PEPRA issues. What the 5 agreements that we are presenting today that have been ratified by the various groups have several things in common, and I will summarize those. But before I get into the primary details of each group, I would like to direct your attention to the graph that I put up on the screen. When I talk about this annual retiree medical situation, the graph that you see before you that has a $9 million y-axis or vertical axis, that is how much the city will spend annually on the costs associated with both the existing retirees, that is that $5.1 million and growing dollar amount for the existing retirees, and all of the agreements that we've come to with the various bargaining units, and I've included what the last best and final offer that was made to SEIU as of December 2013, if the city is forced to impose that contract. And you'll see there that the city has now put itself on a path of eliminating this liability over the course of the next the next 30 years, which would keep the city solvent. This is a dramatic improvement in the city's long-term financial picture. Untouched, that $317 million liability would bankrupt the city with only a handful of years. This plan dramatically reduces the cost of that $200 million because the 117 we can do nothing about because those retirees have already retired and they are fully vested in that benefit. However, the existing employees that will soon retire will now be under the terms and conditions of the attached MOUs, which reduces the benefit from what would have cost us nearly $200 million down to approximately $35 million over the next 30 years, or a reduction of over $164 million. That, Mayor, will keep the city, if future councils adhere to this, it could actually and would keep the city out of financial harm's way. The staff report highlights the specifics of each MOU. The IEO, IPMA, and IPOA, the executive and 2 police groups, had a very similar structure. The structure was to convert 1,000, in the case of IEO, to convert 1,000 hours of sick leave at 100% value and put that money into a retiree health savings account. It should be noted that the employees currently accrue sick and vacation leave every pay period with an unlimited accrual. So one of the secondary goals of negotiations was to attempt to eliminate some of that massive unfunded liability, which today stands at approximately $14 million, by actually cashing it out and allowing the employees to save that in a retiree health savings. They are already vested in 50% of that value, so this was the opportunity to offer something in exchange for that lifetime medical benefit that they could then have and own, if you will, in a deferred compensation style account, and allow them to use that tax-free for the purposes of medical over the course of their lives. In addition, there was some initial, quote, seed money, which was of their salary to, in essence, buy the benefit, and then an ongoing contribution that's a match between the employees of 2% and the city willing to match that with 2%, also going into the employees' retiree health savings account. And then finally, the component for the existing employees, not any future employees. Everything I've said so far is only the existing employees. Future employees, in this case, would only receive the 2% employee-employer match. The existing 6 employees or 7 employees in this bargaining unit would be eligible for a stipend or allotment that would allow them to pay for only a 15-year fixed period of time, unlike the current medical, which is forever. This is a fixed 180 payments of either $850 per month or $650 per month, depending upon their tenure with the city as it stands today on adoption day. With IPMA, very similar, but their 1,000 hours of sick leave is at 50%, which we already owe them that. They're already vested in that amount. They just want to be able to put it in a tax-free vehicle. The seed money for them is based on their tenure at 10% and 12.5% respectively, and they asked for a higher stipend of $900 and $500 respectively. IPOA, or the Police Officer Association, was a little bit more complex, and they asked for 500 hours of their sick leave at 100%, and then the allotment of $900 and $500 respectively, and then they changed the mechanism by which the different tiers, because the POA has approximately 165 members, so they have a lot more tiers in terms of the number of years of service for each tier, and they have a match with some of the lower tiered groups, the ones that have been here the shortest amount of time, because the theory there is they're here for a longer period, they can build the account up by putting in 2% of their own money and having the city match, much like a matching 401k in the private sector. That brings me to IMEO and IPCMA. These 2 groups came up with a very creative solution, different in many, completely different, I should say, than any of the other groups. They simply wanted a cash payment to be deposited into their respective retirement accounts, in this case, the deferred compensation, or rolled over into a similar deferred comp vehicle. IPCMA asked for some of it to go into their retiree health savings, but again, the structure of the payment is sort of not relevant to the city. They just ask us how they want it, and we pay it. It's the numbers that makes the difference. With respect to IMEO, there were 6 tiers, the first being $90,000, paid over 5 years. Tier 2 was $75,000, paid over 8 years. Tier 3, $55,000 over 8 years. Tier 4, $35,000 over 8 years. And Tier 5 is $5,000 over 8 years. Pardon me, Tier 5 is $20,000 over 8 years. The intent of breaking it down over a certain number of years or amortizing that cost is what assists the city in reducing its long-term liability by being able to spread the payments over time. The IPCMA, which is a very, very small unit that spun off 2 years ago from the IMEO, they're the police civilian management, is very similar, just the dollar amounts per tier is slightly different. The next major component was addressing the PEPRA, or the Public Employee Pension Reform Act. And Mayor, I appreciate you taking DR1 first, because I know several members of the public had question about the salary ordinance. And if it's okay, Mayor, I would like to talk just briefly about that at this time, since they too are very commingled together. In order for us to address the CalPERS PEPRA requirement, we asked all the bargaining groups if they would be willing to accept an increase in their pay in exchange for beginning to pay that same amount virtually to on behalf of the employee toward their pension. As I mentioned earlier, the amount that is paid right now, there is an 8% employee contribution, followed by a significant employer contribution of almost 20%. And that is solely for non-sworn. For the sworn, because their retirement plan is much greater than the civilian, it is actually 9% for the employee and approximately 36% for the employer. That is a very substantial cost. So what the city has asked the bargaining units to agree to was if we increased their pay by approximately 10.4% or 12.6% respectively for miscellaneous and sworn, we've asked them now to pay 10% of their CalPERS and pay 12% of their CalPERS for the sworn. So in essence, it's like a balance. We give, but we taketh away. So in essence, to the employee, it actually is a slight detriment, very tiny. It inures to the benefit of the city ever so slightly, because 10% of the higher paid is actually more than the amount that they were given. But the benefit to the employee is their sick and vacation accrual, and those who are eligible for overtime, their base rate goes up by that percentage. So those of you that asked about the question of the salary ordinance, the reason that the salary ordinance is required now is because in order for us to have authority by law to pay the employees the higher amount, in order to turn right around and take that money right out of their check and make the deposit to CalPERS, which again is almost a wash, a little bit in favor of the city, we have to have an associated salary ordinance. And the salary ordinance takes 30 days to go into effect after today's adoption. As a result, these contracts will begin their implementation approximately 30 days from today, on or about July 18th. And that concludes my report, Mayor. If there's any questions from the council, I'm delighted to answer them at this time.
01. Done with 01 as well?
No, sir. Did you want to do both at the same time, sir? Okay. Thank you, sir. 01. The salary ordinance that's before you this afternoon, there are a small number of classification changes that were made. Those were outlined, but I'll start at the beginning. The part-time hourly classifications, the state has a new minimum wage law that is being implemented effective July 1st, and that minimum wage will be $9 per hour. We have 4 job classifications that actually were paid less than $9 an hour at their introductory or base rate. So we need to modify the salary ordinance, Mayor, to take care of that $9 an hour requirement. So those minimum ranges are moving up to 172, which is the range points, which is $9.01 per hour. Any employee that is currently making less than that $9 per hour will be moved up effective July 1st in accordance with the state law, and we will allow new hires to come in after that point in accordance with the current salary ordinance at the time. There are 3 reserve police officer classifications that are in the system but not included in the salary ordinance we determined, and that is for reserve police officer level 1, 2, and 3, 1 being the highest, 3 being the lowest, based on the post or police officer standards and training. And those 3 classifications have not been in the salary ordinance, and we would look to add those as part-time classifications as well. The police department, the police chief has asked that we create a new classification called a community services officer, which is included now in the salary ordinance. The Public Works Department has asked that the fleet services have a classification very similar, or if not identical, to an administrative secretary, but has specific duties that separate that person for fleet services. Hence, we we're requesting to create a fleet administrative secretary, same exact pay range as the administrative secretary classification. And by the way, all of the classifications that are listed in the staff report show the new or the amended, to be amended salary ranges in accordance with the MOUs. There was a title change request, title only. The redevelopment manager, obviously, we talked quite considerably that redevelopment has now become the successor agency, and the title of that position, the request was to change it from redevelopment manager to economic and business development manager. No change to the ranges, simply a title change. With the outsourcing of the special enforcement officers, we created 2 positions in the parking enterprise services, and those new classifications are listed. That's the parking program superintendent and the parking program supervisor, and both of those positions are being open for recruitment, or will be open for recruitment once the salary ordinance is adopted. Lastly, or not quite lastly, but also in the management professional, there was a request from the finance department to create a new classification called accounting and budget manager, and that new classification currently is set to have a pay range equivalent to the assistant finance director. The police civilian management positions, IPCMA, there is a new classification related to budget, and that position is called a police fiscal services analyst, and that is equivalent to a senior budget analyst classification that already exists. We simply created a new one in that bargaining unit and gave it a new classification code. And then finally, the final position there is in the police civilian management, and that is the senior community affairs liaison position, and that position is also listed as a new classification code only. That position existed in the salary ordinance, but there was an error in October. We inadvertently used an existing classification number, and we needed to create a new classification code. So nothing changed there, just the code was 825, and now it is 881. That concludes the report on the salary ordinance.
As to DR1, I move A, B, C, D, and E.
Madam Clerk.
Councilman
Dodson.
Thank you. Council members Dodson.
Aye.
Okay. Padilla.
Aye.
Morales.
Aye.
Franklin. Mayor Buds.
And okay, we need a motion to waive further reading.
You need one?
I thought we were doing,
I'll make the motion as to 01 that they've already presented.
okay, second.
Second?
Madam
Dodson.
Clerk.
Aye.
Padilla.
Aye.
Morales.
Aye.
Franklin.
Aye.
Mayor Buds.
Aye, and I'll introduce.
A comment, Mayor?
Sir.
Just for a point of clarity, because of state law mandate that there's been a rate increase to $9 effective July 1st, and it takes us 30 days for this becomes in force, there will be a retro for that three groups, correct?
Yes, sir. Actually, the way it will work is the salary range for all of the positions actually encompasses enough to give us the ability to pay the slight increase, because it's the bottom of the range we had to correct. And we do have a small number of employees, 2 or 3, that are actually at the bottom step. So we can, without any requirement of the ordinance, increase their pay within the range to satisfy the minimum wage law. But anyone that we would hire, we would have to hire actually after the salary ordinance is in effect, which would be on or about the 18th of July.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
A1.
Thank you, Mayor. As to CS1, it was a closed session with the labor negotiators regarding the various bargaining groups. The negotiators for the city is Artie Fields, the city manager, and Jack Hoffman, chief negotiator. As to that item, the discussion was held, no final action taken. As to CS2 was a closed session regarding the workers' compensation claim of James V. Brown. So there's a request for motion to approve the compensation claim.
So moved.
Second?
So it'll be Dodson and Franklin. Madam Clerk.
Councilman Dodson.
Aye.
Padilla.
Aye.
Morales.
Aye.
Franklin.
Aye.
Mayor Buds.
Aye.
Thank you, Mayor. As to CS3 was a closed session regarding the claim of Gowing and Associates. There's a request for motion of the payment of that claim in the amount of $20,495.45.
So moved. Second.
Madam Clerk.
Council members Dodson.
Aye.
Padilla.
Aye.
Morales.
Aye.
Franklin.
Aye.
Mayor Buds.
Aye.
Thank you. As to A2, there's no oral reports from the city attorney's office.
Thank you. CM1.
Yes, Mayor and City Council. The City of Los Angeles will be hosting a small business workshop for new startup businesses, and they've invited surrounding cities to invite their residents and small business owners to attend, and that'll be Saturday, June 21st from 10 to 12 at the Hyde Park Library branch on Florence Avenue. In addition, on Saturday, the city will be hosting a reception and unveiling of the Darby Park Action Mural on Saturday, June 21st, from 2 to 4. The mural was paid for by a grant, and it was created by youth in the city who range in age from 13 to 21. And lastly, as the council is fully aware, the council approved $1 million to do additional street resurfacing in residential neighborhoods, and we're currently working in the area in the vicinity of Center Park, and we will be concluding that work on June 27th.
Thank you. CC1.
I'm sorry, I said Center Park. Councilor Franklin's looking at me. It's the Park Circle area. Sorry about that.
All right. You said, why didn't I know about these things? CC1, Madam City Clerk.
Thank you, Mayor. This Friday is our big day. I've been talking about this on the last few council meetings, and it's our big day this Friday, Connecting Women to Power. It's our women's conference, and it's going to be awesome. I'm having my own breakout session on work-life balance, and it's a business conference. It's for men and women, so men are invited to come. It's at Cal State Dominguez Hills, and it will be from 8:30 to 5. And if you want to register, you can. The number is 1-888-847-9652. You should come. If you want to start a business, have a business, want your business to grow, make connections, this is the place where you should come. I also wanted to mention that the mayor last Tuesday closed the meeting in memory of Leroy Fisher's mom, who passed away, and we just wanted to give our condolence to him for that. And I think that's the end of my closing remarks. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. CT1, Madam City Treasurer.
Thank you, Mayor. Just like to give a brief financial report regarding bonds invested. And again, the total bonds invested at the cost basis is $56,020,188. And the estimated market value of these bonds is $55,815,834, which is a difference of $204,354. Again, these bonds will be held to maturity, so there will be no loss on the bonds. And also would like to point out that the bills that was paid for the month of June was $8.9 million. And would like to also point out there was a very, regarding real estate sales in the cities continue to pick up, and they're doing quite well. There was a home at 2801 West 85th Street near me was sold for $400,000. One at 2229, a block from me, $439,000. And several others were sold. There's another 8119 at Maitland Avenue sold for $363,000. And the LA Times had a very interesting piece. As a matter of fact, it's a front page piece regarding troublesome foreclosure properties. And it showed a very high density of where these properties are. And it showed Inglewood, and there was none indicated at all in Inglewood, just a few on the borders. That's because we're on the border of LA, but none in the city of Inglewood. So that was a very interesting article that came out last week. And also, I would like to mention also regarding the community financial workshop that I decided that it will start in August, the first Saturday in August from 1:30 until 3 o'clock. And it'll be in the community room right here in the city of Inglewood on Saturday, again from 1:30 to 3, and we'll be talking about an array of different topics: reverse mortgages, pros and cons, insurance, whole life versus term, homeowners insurance, the kinds of coverage and how to determine which is better for your situation, home refinance and how to evaluate, the best type of mortgage for yourself. And also the amount of money one might need for retirement. That might really be quite surprising to a number of people to determine how much money they will actually need for retirement. Because many are retiring at 65 and they'll live in another perhaps 20 to 30 years. And there's others that are retiring at 55. They're living up to an additional 40 years. So that will be covered also. We will also talk about the pros and cons of annuities. And a critical information that you need to know about annuities, that the annuity is a contract between you and the insurance company. And also with regards to the annuities, it has pros and cons. You have to stay in it for so long. And if you come out before that time, you will pay severely. And also you need to understand that also these guarantees that they do give regarding annuities is based upon, of course, this insurance company's ability to play, to pay claims. So really, the only real guarantee we have in life is basically death and taxes. If you live, you will pay taxes, and one day we will all die. Everybody will make it. So those are the only real guarantees. And also, we will cover pre- and post-retirement mistakes that a lot of folks tend to make with regards to why they're working and after they work. So we'll talk about some of those. So it's going to be a very interesting workshop, and we're going to have a number of speakers that will be there to answer a lot of questions that different ones might have. Also, I want to also congratulate one of our employees, Yvonne James Taylor, who works in finance. Her daughter, Imani Donye, who's 15 years old, has all A's. She earned all A's and E's. She attends Hearts Academy Narbonne School, and also she obtained an honor roll award as an honor student with a 4.0 GPA, the second highest GPA at her school, and she was given a $5,000 scholarship, and according to her mom, now has an opportunity to get a $20,000 scholarship from Warren Christopher Scholarship. So I want to congratulate Amani. That is quite an accomplishment. And I also want to congratulate also our Assistant City Manager, Michael Falco, who gave just an excellent report regarding insurance coverage, and we talked about that before. A lot of the cities are in that leaky boat that if they don't do something about these, healthcare costs, it has put a lot of them in bankruptcy. And as I mentioned last time, Stockton actually retroactively did away with all of their healthcare coverages for employees that were retired, but that was primarily because they did file bankruptcy. So again, congratulations on an excellent report. And I'd like to congratulate also Officer Escobedo, and his batch number is 938, for just the extra coverage that he has given in our area. Apparently, that was a home that was broken into while the homeowners were there, and I saw him going up and down the street giving that coverage. So I want to thank the chief for putting the extra patrol in our area. That concludes my remarks and my report.
Thank you. Public comment. Any persons wishing to comment on any matter pertaining to city business not elsewhere covered may do so at this time.
Michael Benbow, District 1. I have just one comment, and it basically concerns neighborhood, and this falls, I believe, under code enforcement. As we get closer and closer to the summer, and summer is just about here, I believe, we're finding that more vendors are on our streets, and whereas they do serve a purpose in coming to our neighborhoods, there are some vendors who are not licensed at all. And that's what I'd like to bring to the attention of our viewers and, of course, citizens. And I just want to point out a couple of things, and I've been paying attention to this on my particular block, because at first I noticed the vendors, and they're in the large trucks, and they got loud music and that sort of thing. Well, the actual decibel that's considered loud is 16, decimal point 16. And there are now vendors that are going down the street, and they're much louder than 16. As a matter of fact, they're far above 16. And it's nerve-wracking to hear that these trucks are coming down the street, and there's nobody really to answer to them. But we'd like to answer to them, of course, and like to get some structure on the way that these vehicles are moving up and down our streets. The other thing I'd like to bring out is the fact that there are illegal vendors who are just adopted a car of their own, and some of them are ringing bells, and some of them are blowing whistles, and whatever means necessary that they have to get the attention of people walking down the street, sitting in their living rooms or somewhere adjacent to their property. And they're just trying to get people to the streets to sell them one thing or the other. And of course, our concern is we have to watch out for our children, because we don't know what these people are selling. They don't have a license, they don't have a right to be on the streets, ringing bells and attracting people to their vehicles. And I want to call code enforcement out on that one and to pay attention to that, because it definitely has happened. I've seen 2 or 3 of them on my block alone. And I'm here, of course, to protect against that. So I'd like to thank you for listening to me, and I wish all of you a good evening, and see you next week.
Leroy Fisher, I want to begin by thanking Mrs. Horton and you them for acknowledging my mother's passing. My mother now is with God. I know that, and I'm at peace with that. No, I hadn't been here, as I said, but I came here, and I understand that you them had pulled an item that concerned me, and that item was the fact that these dollar stores were going to be given the right to sell liquor in their stores. I was at a meeting that the Planning Commission had with regard to that issue, and I will tell you, all of those members of that Planning Commission, except for one member who was Councilman Dotson's appointment to that position, said no to that. We in the city have suggested a moratorium on sales of liquor. We don't need a whole lot of liquor stores in the city anymore. We especially don't need these dollar stores coming in here and professing to want to sell to the mothers and the kids items that they need and could gather rather quickly, but actually their whole game and intention is to sell liquor in the city. I strongly oppose that. I don't know when you're going to come back to that, but I would kindly ask you all to forget about giving any more right to these stores to sell any more liquor in the store. We don't need it. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Graciela Marquez. I live on District 4. And I'm just here because I want to share some concern that I see. Every time I drive down Prairie, going down Manchester, every morning to drive my kids to school. And I see the forum, which looks really fantastic, nice, and I'm happy to have it back. But when I look through my right, and I see this parking lot right across from the forum that looks so dirty. We had these weeds this big between the concrete, and this morning I was thinking about it, and I said, I'm so surprised that they're letting this happen right across from the forum where we have all these visitors. Every time we have a concert, they park there, and it looks so bad, and especially because not too long ago, I got a letter because my backyard goes to an alley, and I got a letter that I needed to clean my alley side, and I'm so surprised that I get a letter as a resident, and we had this open big parking lot that I don't know if it belongs to the Forum or the Hollywood Park, but I'm sure everybody that drives there is able to see it. The weeds are this long between the concrete, and it looks so dirty and dangerous, especially the 4th of July is coming with all these fireworks. Easily can get fired there. They're so dirty and.
You're absolutely right, and we've been in contact with the new owner of the property.
Okay.
Owners of the property, and they've guaranteed by the end of June that will be taken
Oh,
care
okay.
of. So I agree with you. I see it every day on the way to work.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right.
you. That was all my concern.
Right.
Thank you.
Good evening, Council. Lynette Lewis. I came today, one of the things in terms of you congratulating your youth from graduation from school. My grandson did graduate from Tuskegee, and 3 other students that were Inglewood people, they graduated from Tuskegee. I was down there with them. You know, Tuskegee Institute had over 500 graduates there at that school, beautiful school and what have you. And one of the great things about that school is what they teach them, 70% of those kids left there with jobs. Not training of jobs, they went there to go to jobs in different areas that they left there. That was a great feat for a school of that side. One of the things I like to talk about, the fireworks. When is the time that, does they have a definite times? I know they're selling them when they start the fireworks to shooting off and what have you. Because as soon as they sell them, they start shooting, and that the 4th of July is not here, and they're going to be shooting them to Christmas. So, you know, it's really something that we need to have some kind of starting period of when they buy those things that they can be able to start, because when somebody comes down the street shooting firecrackers at 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock, that is to disturb people. And that's what it is. There's no enjoyment in shooting those at that particular point. You know, but I would hope that we would set some kind of little ordinance of starting dates for firecrackers when we sell them. Okay. The other thing, I did attend Leroy Fisher's mother's funeral on yesterday, and it was something that was shared, and then Mr. Weiss was one of the ones that was there. You know, it's very strange that none of the council people were there. You know, his council person wasn't there, nor was there anybody that he could have sent some kind of commendation that we usually give people when their parents or somebody die in their family. We didn't do that for him. I don't know whether that was a great oversight, but just hearing her say that it was mentioned and whatever, that should have been taken care of, because there was a lot of people that were there from other agencies that was giving him the kudos that was there. One of the things I can say about Ralph is that one of the things, when things happen in our community, that someone dies or have some kinds of problems and whatever, he's there. And one of the things, and I think that one of the council persons, they could have even just sent something that was there, because people looked around and say, well, where is Inglewood? You know, wasn't there. Everybody else was there. But I would just hope that we would take a little bit time to take care of us here. You know, I don't care if you don't like a person or they do something or what have you, and I don't think we ought to take politics seriously up in here, but the thing of it is, he is a member of this community, and I would put that on your mind to please take note of that. Thank you.
We'll respond to that right now. Mr. Fisher, first of all, you have my personal condolences as well as what we expressed last week. I lost my mother 2 years ago. But for Ms. Lewis, the reason that we're able to attend so many services is people notify us. And if we're notified, we will be there. If I had known, I definitely would have been there. So to say that what you said was you really should have asked why we weren't there, and we would have told you, I know I didn't know. If I'd known, I'd have been there, and I know that anybody on this dais would have been there. So let's just straighten that out right now. We have to know, and most time people do let us know. Mr. Matthew?
Gil Matthew, District 4, Mayor and City Council and residents. In 2 weeks, we will complete the third quarter. And I would hope that immediately we would start budget study and not wait like we did last year, rushing through without a lot of input from the residents. Also, we need 7 p.m. meetings to have more residents attending these meetings, because a lot get confused when it's 2, when it's 7. It would be helpful to this council to get information out. On Pincay Drive, going east from Prairie, it's horrible with the amount of weeds and the condition of the property. Top is torn, weeds are growing on the sidewalk, so something needs to be done immediately about that. It's horrible, and then you have a lot of visitors come into the forum, and I don't think it's a good impression of the city. Now we need an update on the senior center. need kind of a start date and completion date, and some kind of financial conditions as what needs to be done. Is the property, I mean, is it, the money's there, or what's gonna happen? Also, we need an update on Hollywood tomorrow, because it seems there that there's a lot of changes taking place, or may take place, and nobody really knows how much in what's being proposed is gonna happen. And also, we need some town hall meetings. When I say town hall meetings, I'm talking about come out to the community, and particularly that we used to have it, one at Morningside School Auditorium, and then we'd have one at Inglewood Auditorium. Also, we need to put the property tax transfer on the ballot, because it's one of the places we can develop some income for the general fund. And also, again, I think we moving in the right direction, and I'm only trying to caution you that we need a plan B because of the financial condition of the city, not just Inglewood, but all cities with the winding down, and I'm particularly concerned about the HAT transfer, the housing asset transfer. We submitted it and we haven't gotten a result. So that's not saying that doom and gloom, but it's saying that we need to be wise and make arrangements for this city to stay in the black. Thank you very much.
Aldine Sly, First District. I'd like to make a correction. Mrs. Fisher, who was like my second mother, passed on Father's Day, the 8th. Her funeral was this past Monday. On the 10th of June at the meeting, I specifically heard, I wasn't here, but I was looking at the meeting on YouTube. Ms. Horton did acknowledge the passing of Mr. Fisher's mother. A bouquet of flowers, something could have been sent by the city. That's all I'm going to say on that. It also appears that the Inglewood City Council continues to operate opaquely. I'm speaking specifically about consent calendar number 3. I would rather have clarity than speed. I would rather have things explained to me rather than rush through to save time. That's not sufficient for me as your employer. Also, I feel personally that if Inglewood City government was not so salary top heavy and has been over quite a few years, the city wouldn't be in quite in such a bad shape as it is now. I'm not blaming you sitting there, not all of you, a few of you, a couple of you who have been here over the years, that you will give yourselves raises rather than do services for the citizens of this city. That doesn't make sense. You're the highest paid city council in all the surrounding areas. It does not make sense. But now I see where activity is going on with streets being repaired. But what clicks in my mind is you're getting ready to be voted on again. Elections coming up. So we want to impress the people. So now activity is going on that we needed years ago. I don't want to come here and be negative every time I come up to this podium. But you know, what you're doing with this city makes people who are thinking people become negative. And my last comment is, I was so thoroughly disgusted at the conduct of everyone involved at last week's meeting. Like you said, people are watching. That was totally disgusting, and everybody acted like children.
Mr. Falco?
Yes.
Does the
Yes, sir.
council have the capacity to raise its salary?
No, sir.
A vote of the people?
No, sir, they do not.
Has there been a vote of the people to raise the salaries of the council since the ordinance was adopted
No.
back in the 90s?
No, sir.
All right, thank you. I just wanted to make sure Ms. Sly understood that. Go ahead, Mr.
I'm starting my time.
We start this time over.
My name is Willie A.G. Staff, Ms. Horton, Ms. Brown, Mayor, Council. Each week, I stand before you and congratulate you people for doing a terrific job. Today confirmed what I've been saying all the time. When you voted on 01 and DR1, that's what I call a hard vote. That's why I respect you people so much, because you're willing to do what's necessary to better this city. And the way I see it, you did exactly the right thing. SEIU, I just pray to God that you deal with them. You know, you have to do what's best for this city. As a retired Teamster for 37 years, let me see, I've seen unions go to the top, and I see them right now, they're at the bottom of the barrel. I don't know how many people get the Inglewood Today newspaper. I want to congratulate the editor of the Inglewood Today newspaper, because they put something in the paper on the front page. Teachers' tenure in California ruled unconstitutional. Judge Roll M. Thau, I think that's right, did a great thing for this state. Believe me, because I only know one teacher in the system, and I know lots of teachers that should be teaching. I can see what's wrong with our kids. In order to have good students, you're going to have good teachers. In my opinion, big majority of the teachers in the city of Inglewood that I know not even qualified to be teaching kids. Maybe we'll see a difference in our schools. The next thing is a hard one. Unions. I would like to see the unions brought under control, you know, because I see unions putting people on councils and presidents and all of this, and it's not the best thing for this country. I fought for seniority rights myself personally with Jimmy Hoffa. I wouldn't do it again, because I know the damage that seniority rights has done to this country. You know, all the businesses in California are moving to Arizona, to other states. We need to keep them there. It's all because of unions. Might not like it, but that's the way it is.
My name is Diane Sombrano, and yes, you're right, I haven't been here for a couple of weeks. We've actually had some very busy events. Well over 300 people came to the Sentinel Adobe and discovered where the very beginnings of Inglewood was. I am very grateful that there were so many people who came to discover that, and I appreciate those who did attend. I've always said in the past that it will never be a political event. and no one ever gets a microphone to promote themselves at our events. So thank you for those who did attend and for appreciating that truth. With regard to the comments that were just made, which I find really interesting the way they were phrased, because we all know that you can get an answer that is positive depending on how you ask it, don't we? Would it be true that the council members today are receiving the same exact salary as the council members who preceded them directly after the 1996 vote? Probably not, because they had that cost of living increase included in that. So let's not kind of forget the cost of living thing. Because originally it was at 43, now it's not. So everyone can go back and look at that in the budgets themselves. I would also still go back and suggest that everybody look at the document today. But I think one of the things that Ms. Sly was trying to tell you was that even when we aren't here and we do see what happened, it is embarrassing. It is absolutely, completely embarrassing that someone would suggest that someone who disagrees with the council needs psychological investigation. I certainly hope we are not using any of our tax dollars to do so. And even as we have someone interjecting a thought and disregarding my comments now because I'm still speaking, that is really unfortunate. But that's what is so disgusting, that very action. As Ms. Slice said, we are your employers. Whether you like or don't like what we have to say, you should treat us with a certain amount of respect if you expect any in return. Right now, some of you are on the lower left quadrant and no hope of getting to center field in the respect column. And that's unfortunate because it's how you respond when someone asks a question. Most of the people who came here asked questions, and they were spoken of unkindly. So I'm sure there will be more bashing right now. So on with the show, and you can be unkind to me, just like you were to others last week.
I want to say one thing right quick. I don't care what anyone say. If that guy come here acting a fool like that again, it's on. That's all to it. That man is crazy. So whatever it takes to get this man out of here because he hating too, this man has a very serious problem. And it's evil. It's not nice, regardless of what anyone says. Also, I want to mention Yvonne Harden, the city clerk, is on June the 20th, which is Friday. I just wanted to mention that how wonderful this has been. Finally, she has billboards all over the city and on Crenshaw. You guys need to check those billboards out. She has one on Slauson and Angela Vista. She has one by Maverick Flat, and it's a women conference seminar. It's about time you made it, Yvonne. Congratulations. Also, I want to mention another thing. On the budget that Mike Falco was mentioning, council, why don't we have a senior lead officer in District 2? What is going on, Alex Padilla? We need a senior lead officer, someone there to help us over there with the homeless. We need, Sario is doing this, but we need a lead. Please give this. Please, Alex, we need help over there, a lot of help. It's things that code enforcers is not seeing that the senior lead we could call in, okay? And also, and not interrupt our police department also. And it was another thing, on the insurance thing. I wanted to mention that years ago when we had the previous mayor, which was Mayor Vincent, when he approved this health thing, he was thinking about his friends and his people. This is a hard thing, this health. When my husband died, they didn't give me nothing. You know what Bethlehem still said? You didn't work for us. He did. They didn't have such a health plan as what they have now today. And that's detrimental to the city. Also, what else I wanted to mention, I went down here on the, getting lost, I'm getting lost. Oh, about your health thing. A lot of times the county of LA, I do know for a fact that the county of LA, they will give you things like a raise and then they take it back. They do. They really do. They do. It's a lot of outfits that they work on where they give you raises and then they take the money back or your hours or certain thing, which makes sense because that person's salary won't drop. It'll stay the same, which is a smart idea. So I hope y'all discussing this senior lead officer over there, Alex. And another thing Mr. Fisher mentioned, what is wrong with y'all commissioners with all these liquor stores? Why they keep giving these liquor licenses to these little dollar stores, guys? That's too, we need to stop these liquor, your commissioners need to be put in the trash can. Because they keep giving these liquor licenses in this city. We don't need all these liquor licenses over here. It ain't but 2 of them that won't do it. I think you all should call your commissioners to the side and talk to them, council. Because those liquor licenses got to stop.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Council, City staff. My name is Stuart Bailey. I live in District Number 3. I am going to talk about Joseph Texiera. This man has some definitely issues. Anytime you come into this chamber and disrespect anybody and call them by a word called punk, I don't think that's very disrespectful. Because the mayor was elected by people of this city. Whether you are popular or not, you don't insult just him. You insult the people that voted for him. You call everybody a punk up in here. So, Mr. Texiera will be talked to as of next Tuesday, our evening meeting. I will be waiting downstairs to ask him what his intentions are in this chambers. If he will be respectful, he will be allowed to come up. If not, he will be forcibly removed by me. Okay? We don't need the police department. I got it. I'm single, no kids, no responsibilities. What do I care? So anyway, I want to say for Relay for Life, thank you. It was a resounding success. Thank you to Alex Padilla. Thank you, Joyce Dawson. Thank you, Mr. Eloy Morales. Thank you, Mr. Franklin. You all came out and represented. And thank you, Mr. Mayor. It was a beautiful event. Hopefully it's just going to be doing better and better every year. Okay? I also did last Saturday on the corner of Manchester and La Brea, helped the firemen raise money for muscular dystrophy. It was a very good event. Hopefully it made some money to help the children with this terrible disease. As you can see, I am one who believes in giving back to the city because, as they say, charity begins at home. And we believe, and our home, or at least my home, is right here in Inglewood. And I will do whatever it takes to help the citizens of this city. These are my comments. Everybody, have a beautiful week. And most of all, love your families, respect yourselves, respect your neighbors, and love each other. Have a good week.
Thank you. In case you were to leave, Mr. Bailey, I know you're kidding because we're not going to put our hands on anybody. That's against the law. But I understand the first part of your sentence. Okay, we'll close public comment. Councilman Dotson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, Mr. Fisher, if you're here, I guess he's gone, but you have my condolences, and I did send something to Mr. Fisher for the audience information. The other thing I wanted to, I really want to congratulate the team, our negotiation team. This was a really, really great job that you guys did. As far as I'm concerned, you saved the city. This is one of the most important things to happen in Inglewood since I've lived here. So my hat's off to all of you. You really did a yeoman's job, and keep being tough. I know we got one left, but let's make sure that everybody's feet held to the fire. And I thank you, I really want to say that again. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And the other thing I wanted to talk about was the town hall meeting. I want to thank everybody who came out to the town hall meeting this past Saturday. We're hoping that people will start to really attend these meetings and take the information back to your neighbor. You know, you get some really good information. The city staff prepares very well for those town hall meetings. They give you all the information, so make sure you share it with your neighbors. And I'd like to thank all of you for coming out. We appreciate the comments. Sometime I would hope that you would get some information before you say what you say, but it's up to you. You can say whatever you want. I am so grateful to the city for doing the streets in the First District. I mean, it's been years since they've worked in the First District. And it's just time to do it. And I thank this council for doing that, because I couldn't do it by myself, but with the help and the vote of this council and city staff who saved the money so we could do these streets, I really appreciate that, and thank you very much. You guys have a wonderful evening.
Councilman Padilla?
Thank you, Mayor. A couple of quick things. One of them is a gentleman came up here and talked about wanting an update regarding Hollywood Park, and I believe that this coming Thursday in Community Room A, there's going to be representatives from Hollywood Park doing a presentation there. I'm not quite sure what time that's going to kick off at, but if you want to give me a call, I'll find out for you. You know, it's funny, you know, we're out there doing the street repairs and trimming the trees that everybody asks us to trim, and instead of being appreciative and just say thank you, you know, that's great that we're finally doing something about that, it turns out to be a conspiracy. You know, that all of a sudden there's a reason because it's an election or something, and you know, instead of just saying, you know what, we're finally getting these things done that we promised we were going to do, and let's move forward with that. There's elections just about every year or every other year, so no matter what we do, it's going to coincide with an election year. So not everything we do is based on because it's an election year. We got to run this city, the business of this city, and we do it in a fashion that's timely. And that goes back to the comment that was made about explanation of items on the agenda that we move too fast. And I've always said, and I know the other council members and the mayor are on board as well as staff, if you ever have any questions about everything that's on anything that's on the agenda and you want clarity, and you're always free to follow up with us. Give us a call, come by, visit with us, and we'll give you the information that we have. And if we don't have the answer, we'll get you the answer. But there's nothing done to you know, try to fake left and go right, anything like that. We're trying to do it to be, you know, as clear as possible and to give you all the information that we have, and we do it here at a council meeting. And whether it's a 2 o'clock council meeting or a 7 o'clock council meeting, the thing is people show up like yourselves. And there's a lot of folks at home that see these council meetings as well. So the important thing is that we're getting the work done and that we're moving the city forward. And information is being received by all. I too want to thank the city staff, Assistant City Manager Michael Falco, David Esparza, Jack Hoffman, who's in the back, Jose Cortez. This is our team that's been dealing with the different unions that help us get these negotiations done, to get these MOUs to where they need to be. You guys have done an outstanding job. I know it's very frustrating at times and very labor intensive, but yet you stuck to it and you've done it. And I also want to thank the unions for working with us to help make this city better and to move the city forward so we can be fiscally responsible. So again, the kudos to the union for their working in partnership and collaboration, and the kudos to the city staff for your hard work and your efforts. And I think that's it for me. Other than that, thank you very much for coming out, and have a blessed week.
Councilman Franklin?
I may need a minute, Mayor, just so you know.
Okay.
First of all, let me reach out to, a comment was made regarding the town hall meetings. We need town hall meetings. And for District 4 of all districts, I do want you to know that we've already had 2, January 25th and April 26th, and the third one is scheduled at the same location, at the Hollywood Park, first floor Breeders' Cup room. And I do encourage those that are interested to be, and I announce them here, so that way you have plenty of time to make it to these events. So if you're interested in current information, please come to these meetings. I do have one more tentative schedule for the end of the year. I also want to personally congratulate resident Lynette Lewis and her family on the grandson that graduated from Tuskegee Institute. And in your absence, Ms. Lewis, I just want you to be made aware I've already visited Dr. Lois Dean Irving. Her husband James has passed away. The viewing is this Sunday, and the service is on Monday, on which I will be in participation as well. I announced that also at the council meeting upon receipt of the information from the Irving family, just so you know. In addition to that, there was comments raised about updates regarding Hollywood Park tomorrow. I just sent out an email blast announcing that the Hollywood Park is going to have their first series of community information meetings. It will be held this Thursday at June 19th at 7 p.m. at the Hollywood Park Casino in the Pavilion location at 3883 West Century Boulevard. The flyers have gone out both in English and Spanish, and that if anyone needs additional information, they may contact Michelle Ballard, Director of Community Affairs for Hollywood Park, at the number of 213-244-7029. I also want to announce, Mayor, if you would be so kind to close the meeting in honor of H.B. Jones. He is the father of the employee Mike Davis. He regularly works at Inglewood Parks and Recreation Department. He's known as Big Mike. He was not as fortunate as many of us to celebrate Father's Day on Sunday. His father passed away on Saturday. And in conclusion, I do want to thank all of the little tots and families and teachers and friends that came to the early childhood education program for the preschool graduation that we had on Thursday, June 12th at 11 o'clock at the Ed Vincent Amphitheater. And each council member and mayor received a thank you for the teachers and the students and family of being able to find the funds we needed to keep the program operating, including their little hands to make it as well. And on that note, I conclude. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilman Morales, you really want to follow that?
He always takes the good stuff, man.
No, I won't do that again.
He should be last every time. Just follow up some of the points. We'll probably all speak on the same thing. First of all, I wish we did have the power to get things done during election year. That would be great. Unfortunately, that's not how it works. There are a lot of things that we have to say no to when we get the calls regarding sidewalks, sometimes even trees. There are some things we get to say yes for, and those are things we just need to stay on top of. I think it's coincidental that things look to be happening when they're happening all the time, but I also think it's good news. It's good news if people are noticing it, whether they think that it's because we made a call or whether they think that it's because we're pushing something. Doesn't really matter. I mean, work is getting done. At the end of the day, we're all in the same city. When work is happening, that's good news. It's as simple as that. Negotiations, just want to take the time to thank staff. I mean, Artie Fields, Michael Falco, Jack back there, Jose Cortez, amazing job. We've been talking for about a year. I know you made a presentation. I feel like I've heard it a million times. And that's because you kept us informed along the way. So, I mean, that's all it means. The public gets to stay informed as well. Thank you for the presentation. It's just been a great job. The employees can't say enough about how they've continued to step up and help the city through all the tough times in the last couple of years. I hope, they're still around when the benefits start coming in, because the city will be back. Cancer Walk. Didn't have a chance to thank everybody last week. The staff did an amazing job. It turned out to be just the community event that we all kind of really embrace. Had a lot of fun. A special thanks to Councilman Padilla, who with his wife Stella really played point on it this year. An amazing job, and, I'm sure we all look forward to it next year. Councilman Franklin mentioned the preschool graduation. I mean, it was an extra special ceremony because we knew that the parents and the students made a difference this time to save the preschool along with us. We all obviously knew the value of it, but their movement, kind of helped us really remind us, and it was a good ceremony. We did receive those cards, and it was just great to be there. Also, I got a chance to speak at St. John Chrysostom for their graduation. Extra special for me because 30 years ago this year, I actually graduated from St. John, so that was great. And just in closing, just want to say that the mayor actually did a pretty good piece on the fireworks based on information here at the Inglewood today, this week, last week, I forget which day.
Was this?
But it was regarding, and I'll need one more minute, Mayor, I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
The situation of the fireworks. There shouldn't be any right now, bottom, and we all hear it, and, every time I hear it, I look out the window, see if I can see where it's coming from, to see if I can make the call. Unfortunately, we've all gone through that. It's a terrible part of 4th of July. Those are the illegal fireworks. The safe and sane ones, unfortunately, are the ones that take the hit on the reputation, and the nonprofits that benefit from them. And that's why we have them in the first place. But the mayor actually did a good job of pointing out, hey, these are the free shows for the pyrotechnic kind of fireworks. And if you see illegal fireworks being used, call a number. The number is 310-412-8771. And that's how we're going to get to the bottom of it. I mean, if we receive the calls, we'll do the best we can. We've all spoken to the chief. Want to thank the mayor for that article. But for now, thank you for coming out. That's all I got, Mayor.
Okay. First, Ms. Lewis, congratulations on your Tuskegee graduate. I want to say again that, we have deep sympathy for Mr. Fisher. I don't think, however, that something as personal as a death in the family, that to politicize it here is appropriate. No one would have total omniscience of what anyone does for someone who's in mourning, and so to come and claim that that no one did anything, I think that's wrong. I'm sorry. That'd be a private conversation for me. I just don't think that's right. About fireworks, the explosive fireworks that you hear are not legal. There's a penal code section that covers that, and in the article that I did and paid for the Inglewood Today describes exactly what's legal, what's not, and what to do. We don't have enough, nor does anyone have enough police resources to stop people from firing off firecrackers because, it's just impossible. And so what we're trying to do is raise the consciousness of the community and let people know what's legal, what's not. On the council salaries, Mr. Brano, the council does not receive COLAs. The only adjustment that I know of is at some point in the past where the council used to get a car allowance and a communications allowance, that was rolled into the salaries. So for someone as knowledgeable as yourself to claim that there's COLAs, you shouldn't do that. There are no COLAs for the council. The only way our salaries can be raised is with a vote of the people. On the issue of RSI that you apparently thought you corrected me, Ms. Austin asked directly, why am I the final signature on RSI documents? And I am, and I answered the question that she asked me. I'm fully aware that Ms. Sly asked about something different, but so that you're clear, I answered the question she asked me. We have these multi-page documents and packets for construction, and so once the council authorizes the payment allocation of RSI dollars, then it's left to me to sign the documents when they're done. We propose a similar situation for park projects, because the reality is that the council authorizes the expenditure, and then now it doesn't have to come back, signed by me, and back to the council. At some point, we're supposed to do the work. And so to say the council doesn't trust me to sign what they authorized me to sign, I don't know. Let's see. On the 99-cent stores, the reality is, it's my understanding, actually, that the Planning Commission denied the application for an alcohol permit. And the reality is none of us can talk about it now because we are going to be asked to sit in judgment of their decision. But whether they had or not, commissioners are expected to be independent. They're not supposed to be surrogates for the council. They're supposed to bring the opinions of the community to us, and then we have the final decision if that decision is appealed. The thing that was said about street repairs and its election, well, Ms. Horton, aren't there elections every 2 years? So we would really have to work at picking a time when there was an election coming to do something.
We'd be done with the streets by now.
Exactly. Everything would be done. Here's what's reality. The reality is that the city was in very bad situation. We had this unfunded liability of Lifetime Medical that was going to kill us another way. And the council made some really tough decisions. Mr. Falco and Mr. Hoffman and Mr. Sparza and Mr. Fields, you know, they handled the negotiation for us, but they were given courageous direction by the council, in my opinion, to stay tough and say we have to do what's best in overall best interest of the city. And so we came to a point where we had put the money right, where we had money and we allocated over 6 months ago, not before an election, $1 million to do additional street repairs in addition to what we had budgeted for. So that's just not true, and I just hope that you come to understand that we're doing things as we can afford to do them. Let's see, so many things. Okay, what's that? Oh, and I wanted to congratulate Linda Tatum, Minnie Wilcox, Artie Fields, and Councilman Padilla went on the behalf of the council. The American Planning Association of the Los Angeles Section, California chapter, honored the city of Inglewood's Energy and Climate Action Plan for innovation in green community planning. We received an award of merit, and that was on June 12, 2014. And we're the only South Bay city to get it. We really appreciate you. And we're going to close the meeting in the memory of H.B. Jones, the father of Parks and Recreation employee, Big Mike. Thank you very much.
I think Jack's fine tonight.